and welcome back to Football Match Daily Presents Off the Pitch. Today we're back for the third episode, and as you can see, we're without a guest because clearly we don't need one. We've already got a Chelsea and a Man City fan with us today, both of who've had a great week. Any comments, boys?
It was an amazing week for Chelsea. We came into Champions League finals after 9 years. Kante played brilliantly. Jorginho was brilliant. The whole team was perfect. Havertz missed a few chances, but it was fine. Tuchel did some good work as well.
Sid?
Yeah, it was a good week. You could say it's a good week.
Of course.
Right, because it is a good week when, for the first time in the history of your existence, you make it into the final of the Champions League. Must be a great feeling. Uh, because the game happened first, what are your thoughts about the game, Siddhant? The City versus PSG game.
I think as a team we were very organized, and PSG's biggest asset is their attack, and I think our defense was very good in the second leg and even in the first leg. So we managed to shut them down, and that's why we're in the final.
And will your defense be the key against Chelsea in the finals?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think our defense has been very good this season, so they'll be playing a big part in the final as well.
Um, there were a few talking points about the game, especially in the first half, when a lot of people complained that there were too many calls going towards in PSG's favor. Do you have anything to say about that?
I think they were probably I think probably you could say 80-20 to PSG in when you talk about the decisions going in the favor of their side. But I think I think otherwise it was a good game. It didn't really affect the final result of the game, so it was fine.
Ayush, you have anything to say about the decisions that were
I
made
feel that the decisions were made against PSG, but
for PSG?
there was a red card as well. So it was not like that. It was completely towards PSG. It was fine. Like yeah, they were leaning towards PSG, but it didn't really affect the Sid said the result of the match.
Another talking point of the game was how immature PSG were
Hmm.
in the way of their discipline, and that is where a lot of comparisons were called upon between Pep Guardiola and Pochettino about how Pep Guardiola cannot play a team that is indisciplined as PSG was in the day.
See, we have seen Neymar do these things before as well. Like someone maybe pushes him or something, he'll come back like with full rage and everything and rush into the guy. And now the we see the whole team doing it. So it's not very sportsman like to do such things. And I'm sure these things won't be appreciated under Guardiola.
Sid?
Yeah, I think they kind of lost it in the end. They were losing it since the beginning of the second leg, and I think it's not the correct mentality when you're playing in a semi-final and you want to win the trophy. And I think if this was Pep's side, I think they would have been subbed off immediately. So I think Pochettino should have probably kept control of his side. Yeah.
But we never saw this kind of indiscipline from Pochettino's first side, did we?
Yeah, I
We can't
think
completely blame Pochettino because it didn't start after immediately after an half or something. Pochettino couldn't have majorly done anything to that. It happened suddenly that Di Maria went outside and he had a small tussle with Fernandino, which escalated the whole thing. So it was not completely in control with Pochettino, but yeah, he could have done more than what he did.
Yeah, exactly. It's a player's individual decision whether they want to foul a player or not. So there's not much Pochettino could have done there. But yeah, I think he should have had more control over his team.
When you have individuals as big as Paredes, maybe Neymar, you talk about Di Maria, there's got to be a lot of egos running around in that dressing room, don't there?
Yeah, there. When you are a big player like Neymar, you obviously have a ego and self confidence that how can he touch me? But when you come to the ground, there should be some. I don't know, sportsman-like relations with the other players as well.
So moving on, the second game, which I think was the better of the two, was an iconic Chelsea versus Real Madrid game. It was it was talked up a lot. A Tuchel versus Zinedine Zidane,
Yeah,
a tactical masterclass of sorts, but it wasn't a tactical masterclass. From Chelsea's end, it was not so much from Real Madrid's end.
yeah, but
What were your thoughts about the game, Ayush?
so Zidane is never known as being a very tactical manager, but Tuchel showed everything he could in that game. Chelsea made a lot of chances, and I'm very happy with that. But I wish we would have converted more. Like maybe we could have made it 3-0 or 4-0. But yeah, 2-0 against Real Madrid is a very big achievement, and I think we shut them down.
Sid, your thoughts about the game?
Yeah, I think as a neutral fan, I think Chelsea were very good in the side, both the legs. Yeah, I think Tuchel deserves all the credit for outclassing Zidane and his whole team. So yeah, probably if they would have worked better, more on their finishing, it would have been much more iconic for them, I think.
Yeah.
While we're talking about finishing, Chelsea face City in the final, don't they? And they have, I think, the best defense in Europe as of now. Will the waste chances cost them in the final?
See, I think that Chelsea and Manchester City are the two best defenses right now. So it's an amazing game, and everything depends on the attackers now. And Chelsea is not really Chelsea can't really praise their attackers that much because Werner on and off, Havertz on and off. Mount is the really only the dependable player for Chelsea right now, and Kante.
And while you yourself said how good of a defense Chelsea is, do you mean the keeper Mendy, or do you mean the defense in general? Because Mendy pulled off quite a few saves, I believe.
Mendy was amazing. He has saved our asses before as well, and he did it this time as well. So Mendy was great, but the whole defense line was amazing in my opinion. Rudiger was fantastic, and Aspilicueta was on the point as well.
Uh, so I think there were a few talking points off the pitch. Firstly, we talk about Cruz and Mounts little, if you would.
Yeah.
What are your comments about that, Ayush?
So yeah, Cruz is known to maybe pinch a little to the other players. Like Cruz said that none of the Chelsea players can individually take his sleep, and Mount was like, we did do that with Kante and everyone. So it was fun. It was a fun banter, and I enjoyed it.
And then Cruz with another comeback.
Yeah,
He
Cruz with
wasn't there.
another comeback that it's your first CL final, like, saying to Mount. But in Mount's defense, he's only 22 years old.
That's true. That's true. Said as a neutral supporter, what would you say about that? That if
Cruz has a tendency to make such comments, and I think probably to weaken the mentality of the opponents. But I think Chelsea as a team, like Mount said, they were something you should fear, and they showed it on the pitch. But then again, yeah, Cruz is a very accomplished player. Probably he won't regret it that much.
Yeah,
I think when Tuchel joined, one of his first promises was that Chelsea would be one of the most feared teams in all of Europe, and he's done that, hasn't he?
yeah. Today, Manchester City and Chelsea, I believe, obviously they are as they're the finalist teams who everyone fears right now. We saw the dominating teams last year. Liverpool, they were mostly unbeaten in Premier League. Bayern, but we don't really. Bayern you can still consider, but Liverpool has, dropped everything. And I'm sorry for that, really. So yeah,
Uh,
Chelsea
uh,
is feared now.
Sid,
So I think yeah, Ayush is right. I think beginning of the season under Lampard, I think obviously after the signings you would have feared Chelsea a bit, but then after the performance, yeah, Chelsea weren't so scary. But I think Tuchel has changed that again. Now, yeah, I think I would have preferred Madrid in the final over Chelsea because Chelsea are a bit scary team to face.
you know you're a good team, and your rival fans
Yeah,
maybe
start
say good
appreciating
things
you.
about your team. But another controversy, I don't know if you would call it off the pitch, but Eden Hazard with a big laugh with maybe Zuma, was it?
Yeah, Zuma and Mendy.
So
So yeah, Hazard was having a laugh with Zuma. Now I feel that he should at least feel a little sad that he just lost the Champions League semi-finals wearing the number 7 Real Madrid shirt. But I don't completely blame him as well that because he met an old friend, Kurt Zuma, and he go long back, years back. So it's understandable to an extent. But yeah, Hazard performance after that performance he shouldn't have done that.
but it's arguable whether he had to do it in front of the cameras, in front of everyone to see. And he could have just maybe privately gone, spoken to the club, to the players.
It's pretty natural to have a smile when you like when I see my friend. It happens automatically. But yeah, you'll after a performance like that, it should not have happened.
Sid,
Yeah, I could. Yeah, you could say Real Madrid fans would have been angry because Hazard hasn't been on their best side since he came to the club. But I think Chelsea fans would be happy that they found out that Chelsea runs deep in Hazard veins till
it's
now.
true. Because to be honest, as a neutral fan, I was a little. I mean, it should show disrespect because if the club you're playing for ends up losing at such a big stage, you can't laugh with your opposition in front of everyone. I think that's really disrespectful, and I can see why Real Madrid fans would start disliking him even more than they already do.
Yeah, I think if it was someone from my club, I would have just tweeted whatever player the name is and then out.
Moving on to a little maybe to a little more domestic side, and as we know that United and Villarreal move on to the Europa League final, but talking about United, because there were huge protests before the Liverpool game that eventually got postponed. They now have to play 4 games in 8 days. That includes the game they played against Roma. They have to play against they have to play against Aston Villa, Leicester, and Liverpool in the coming week now. So let's talk about the protests first. We'll go move on to the fixtures later. Sid?
I think as a City fan, I would want Glazers to stay because yeah, they're not very useful for United as a owner. So, but I think I didn't expect like the fans would be so angry that they would invade the pitch and start protesting because I don't know the complete inside of what goes inside a United fan's mind. So yeah, I think it was a big indication that they really, really hate the owners now, and probably I think it's not long before the owners have to quit.
See, I think I understand why the fans did that, but I don't believe they should have because they spoiled the whole schedule of the Premier League, and now their team has to play 4 games in 8 days, as you said. But yeah, I understand from their point of view as well that they're not really having a good time with Glazer. So yeah.
I was going through my Twitter feed, and obviously I saw a few of the average Liverpool supporters saying that a few years back when Liverpool had consecutive games in 2 continents, I think for the Club World Cup, they weren't given a fixture reschedule. But obviously, since it's United, the Premier League has to oblige. So, is this a case of favoritism here? I mean, could the game have been played at a maybe later time instead of a later date?
I think the
It's not.
original plan was to make postpone the game and play it on the same day, but I think they had a bit of probably technical issues, like even with the field. If some random 16-year-old kids are running on the field, I don't think it would be in the same condition for a United versus Liverpool game. So I think yeah, they wanted to do it on the same day, but I think they couldn't do it.
So, I'm glad you mentioned a bunch of 16-year-olds because according to Perez, 16 to 24-year-olds, for 24-year-olds don't watch football. So
Yeah,
it's
I used to watch football until 6 months ago. Then I turned 16, so I stopped watching football.
so so I think Siddhant is Glazers out. Are you sure Glazers in or out? I mean, sorry, Siddhant is Glazers in. Sorry.
See, Siddhant is Glazers in because he's in the opposition. Like I am a Chelsea fan, so I would also want Glazers to stay. But as a neutral fan, Glazers, yeah, Glazers out.
Yeah, I think for all they were involved in the Super League drama, so I think you could say Glazers out. Yeah,
Oh, I can't believe Sid has admitted Glazers out.
I
Moving
think
on to
it's
the.
the best for football, not just rivalry. Because if there's no football, there won't be any rivalry.
That's true. That's very true. Moving on to United's fixture list. They don't have the easiest of a week coming in, do they?
Yeah, like Aston Villa is a tricky fixture. Aston Villa are the only team who can, they have had the more pleasant of seasons because they have enjoyed pretty top half of the table, whereas last season they were nowhere near that. So Aston Villa is tricky, then Leicester and Liverpool. So yeah, it's a complete nightmare.
Especially after they just played Roma.
Yeah, it's like as if they're punishing the United fans for doing it.
No, I mean, what surprised me was that Ole finally turned to Van de Beek. Van de Beek was starting, I think, after a million years for United, and he actually started against Roma, and maybe that's where we see more of him.
Yeah,
But
and they
Sid,
lost, and they lost.
Yeah, I
then
think
I don't.
for United it was kind of a like done deal, so it didn't matter if
Yeah,
you play Van der Beek or you play Bruno. They had I think a 4 goal advantage.
yeah, 6-2.
Yeah, so yeah, 6-2 they had a 4 goal advantage. So yeah, even they lost 3-2, but they still went into
Yeah.
the finals because they knew that was going to happen.
And what are your thoughts about the fixture list,
I
Sid?
That,
think for
that
I
मैं
think
बोल
for
चुका हूँ.
the fixture list, yeah, I think if United lose those games, I think the fans are to blame because yeah, if they would have protested that day, they would have still have a easier fixture list. But I think United are a good team. They have the capability to be able to win both the games, Leicester and Liverpool. But even obviously, Leicester and Liverpool are good teams, and it's important. The games are important for them as well. So we'll
See,
wait and see.
Premier League, it won't really make a difference to them. I think they're gonna stay in the same position whether they win or they are pretty much gonna stay second. Like they obviously can't go up. And Leicester doesn't look like they're gonna overtake United anytime soon. So I
I
don't
think
think
it's
it will affect that much. The only effect will be that yeah, the loss count will go up.
no, I think it's as Sid said. I think in the previous episode about it's about prioritizing. And see, because the Leicester versus Liverpool games are actually more important for their oppositions, Leicester and Liverpool, because Leicester currently need to prove that they're Champions League worthy, and for that they have to finish top four. Liverpool may be struggling. They've had a bad season, I would say, worse than bad. But then even they have to prove that even in their worst season they can make it top four. So I think it's a more important game for those two than United. So again, it's the ball's in United's court, I would say.
Yeah.
But since we're talking about owners and how the fans affected them, we have to talk about the Arsenal situation. So, what are your thoughts on that?
No one is a fan of Kroenke as an owner. Like I think even I would rather have Glazers because you've seen that Kroenke never invests. Like Kroenke never gives you money. Like at least United are buying players and everything is going. Arsenal never buy players. They'll buy old players who are they'll play Chelsea's old stuff or some players who don't really.
Chelsea's retirement home.
Yeah, Chelsea's retirement home. It's close by. It's close in the same city. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think those guys are much worse than Glazers because at least every now and then Glazers do give the money to the managers to buy someone. But I don't think Arsenal have actually bought someone when they have lost a player or anything. They like the Ozil and Sanchez, they were the two best players of the recent era of Arsenal, and I don't think they still have been replaced. So yeah,
Okay. Looking at their potential new owners is Spotify. So obviously it's quite evident that Spotify don't have the exact, I mean, the same amount of funds to buy a club as big as Arsenal. So obviously a lot of jokes going around that maybe Arsenal fans will have to cancel their Spotify premium membership just to contribute to
Arsenal.
Spotify's cause.
Yeah.
Uh,
See,
but then
let me
obviously,
clear this. Let me clear this up. Spotify can buy Arsenal. That one person who owns 9% of Spotify can't buy Arsenal. So that's a big confusion with people. Daniel, he's tweeted on Twitter saying that he wants to buy Arsenal and he's interested. So Kroenke clearly rejected it that we are not interested in selling, and then his son said it again. But he looks very persistent in kicking out Kroenke out of his office. So yeah, Daniel Ek wants to buy Arsenal and not Spotify.
okay, that clarifies a lot actually. But isn't he being backed by a lot of Arsenal legends, Thierry Henry included?
Yeah, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, and someone else as well, I guess. I think.
I think it's
Bergkamp?
Dennis Bergkamp. Yeah,
Yeah.
So
I think that's
I
the
have
three best Arsenal players ever.
um, I have a simple question. Does a takeover happen or not?
I would love for it to happen as a neutral fan. I would hate for it to happen as a rival fan. But I don't really see it happening. I don't think Daniel Ek has the funds, even with the Arsenal legends, to afford a club as big as us.
Yeah, I think even I would love the takeover to happen, but even I think it won't happen. So
See, even if the funds were available, Kroenke is a stubborn fellow. Okay, and I don't think he would ever be ready to I think leave. And I think there's a little I have a little theory going on. Hear me out. Uh, you see the whole Glazers issue. You see the whole FSG issue. You see the whole Kroenke issue. All three fan bases really want their owners to leave, right? But why, even with such maybe strong hatred against them, they're not leaving. Is there a reason that they're still connected to the Super League secretly?
And no, I don't. I think they're far away from the Super League now, and they don't even have the guts to even think about coming back to it. And as you mentioned before, that Arsenal Kroenke doesn't want to sell it even with the funds. But when Super League offered money, he was ready to go. And I believe that if there is a good amount of money, Kroenke will, yeah, easily sell Arsenal.
Easily.
Yeah, easily.
Uh, so anyway, let's move on to the team of the week for the Champions League at least. Uh, since a strong debate over here, let's go on to a little easier set of things. Uh, who makes a goalkeeper for you for the team of the week?
See, I don't think there's a debate here. Mendy clearly deserves it after those three amazing saves made by him, and any other keeper didn't really stand out in my opinion.
Sid?
yeah, I think you could go with Mendy. PSG didn't even have a shot on target, so Ederson didn't have much to do. So Mendy is a good option.
So our goalkeeper is Mendy. Who's a right back?
Uh, I would say Kyle Walker.
Kyle Walker, Man City. So I doubt Sid will have any arguments for that, but I'd still ask him.
Well, you can happily put Kyle Walker. I have no issues.
I'm sure. I was quite certain you wouldn't have any issues with Kyle Walker. So again, two I think quite obvious choices already.
Yeah.
Um, Centre back, I would argue for Rudiger and Ruben Diaz.
I think I
Ayush,
would stay with the exact same thing.
Yeah, I think I was thinking the same thing as well. So
there would have been a few shots for Eder Militao like last time, but he
Yeah.
clearly not this time. So we got Rudiger and Diaz, don't we? Meanwhile, who is your left back?
Zinchenko for me.
Sid?
yeah, it's a done deal.
I
It's a
would
done.
I would actually go for Chilwell.
I
Reason
don't
being,
think Chilwell really stood out or brought something to the like
he didn't
stood
stand
out
out.
and brought something to the
See,
team.
he didn't stand out for me per se either. But then the stability for the Chelsea defense. I mean, uh, I think Eden Hazard covered the most distance on the pitch. Uh,
Really?
and yeah, for a Real Madrid
Yeah.
at least, he was for
Wow.
Real Madrid. And I think the entire Chelsea defense gets credit for holding them out even then. But since left back is the only debatable position at this point, I would go for Chilwell.
I, I
Would
I would stand with Zinchenko still as well. Like
I was obviously going to
I
back Zinchenko.
I would gladly want Chilwell, but I think Zinchenko was really good.
and midfield, I think this man gets in without any
Yeah.
debate.
I believe with him, obviously, Jorginho and Modric deserve a place.
Jorginho.
Yeah, Jorginho was holding Modric really well, and I think he stopped. He was a very major effect, uh, major problem for Real Madrid that night.
So I think
You
if
say
Jorginho stopped Modric, then Modric doesn't get in.
exactly. I mean, that's a little self-contradictory. If this is your two, that is.
Yeah, these are my duo. Sid,
Sid, who are your other two players?
I'm not really sure.
Because I would go for Kevin De Bruyne and Mason Mount, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that would be a good team as well. I think.
Because that maybe brings out the balance in the team. And
I thought we could go with Kevin De Bruyne as a striker, because he played as a striker, false
false,
nine.
that's true, but then I think his
Okay,
origin position,
okay, yeah, okay.
uh, and obviously Mount again, another great. I mean, not great, but I think he's the reason Chelsea keeps scoring.
Hmm.
Front three.
Uh, Sid,
I think Foden and Mahrez on the wings and Werner as a striker.
I would
Are you?
stick to the same thing. Werner scored after a lot of time, and I think Werner was usually good. He made some good runs. He made some good dribbles. So Werner, Foden, and Mahrez.
I would have given a shout for um, Havertz, but
I would,
comparatively, I think
yeah, I
Werner
think it
had a
was one
much
of
better.
the Havertz bad games. The
Yeah, that
so
is.
the Werner
It,
and Havertz roles switched, I guess.
but I think
Wait,
Werner ended
Foden
a
on the left.
huge.
Foden is on the left.
Oh my bad, sorry. Werner ended, I think, a huge goal drought with for his Champions League campaign. I think
Yeah.
with a goal.
But I think anyone in his place as a Chelsea striker that they would have gotten that place. Even Giroud could have done that. Havertz was playing on the right, left, or he could have done that as
No,
well.
I would have assumed that the striker position would have been a stronger debate only because how poor Chelsea were when they went in the final third. But any which way, there weren't any standout strikers as such.
See, the only
When
goals were scored by Manchester City and Chelsea, and Manchester City were playing De Bruyne, who we put as a midfielder. So the
so
only striker
it
left
kind
was actually Werner. because
And
Benzema didn't really get the ball, and Mbappe was out. Icardi was vanished as well.
so it looks like we've made a City versus Chelsea combined 11 rather than a team of the week. Is this so? If y'all were managers in general, we've got a City versus Chelsea game coming up this weekend. Incidentally, would this
Yeah.
be the combined 11 lineup you would have agreed on?
No, I don't think Warner would have gotten in.
So I think yeah, Werner would have gotten in if this was a combined 11.
Yeah, and I think if it would be a combined 11, so we would see the overall thing, and I would put Chilwell instead of Zinchenko here.
Yeah, I
Now,
think
I would also like to point out that Foden and Mount, as youngsters, have come this far, coming in a UCL semi-final team. It's a very big achievement for both of them to play their first ever Champions League finals well.
And incidentally, it falls in the same year that the two represent England in the Euros.
Yes.
So we've got an all English Champions League final, and we've got the Euros this year. Is it coming home? An early prediction: is it coming home?
Like the Euros or the Champions League.
The
Champions League is
Euros,
coming in England for sure because it's an all England final.
obviously, but the Euros.
Yeah, Euros. So yeah, I think it can come home finally.
Sid,
But France
early
has
prediction.
amazing team.
yeah, I think they have a strong chance. I think it's up to Southgate now. Yeah, how he wants to go with this the amount of players that he has to his disposal.
That's that I think wraps it up. To end it, we've got lighter news about maybe Villa Park hosting the Champions League final. That news may be shocking a few people. From Istanbul, you come to Villa Park. How did
Yeah,
you
I think
guys take the news as
I think if we win the Champions League this time, and like Liverpool says the night in Istanbul and all that, like if I talk about the night in Birmingham, people would think I'm talking about a Peaky Blinders episode. So yeah, Istanbul is probably better.
Yeah,
no?
but
I mean,
after a lot of games, it may be less travel and everything.
exactly. Looking at the current situation with COVID, maybe at its worst form, wouldn't you want to avoid all travel, especially to another continent?
I think then that way I would prefer a more iconic stadium like Wembley because yeah, at least the night in Wembley sounds better.
You would
And
love
what
to have.
I
You would love
Siddhant,
to
what
have
you're
it
saying,
at Etihad, wouldn't you?
yeah, and I think Siddhant, you're assuming here that Manchester City is going to win the night in Wembley. I don't think you would want to remember that night after the game.
Yeah, I think for both of us, it would be
Yeah,
some
it could
night
get.
like so.
Yeah,
I
See,
think for either
it
of us,
goes
we would
it
have
goes
a
both
night
ways,
at
you know.
Wembley than Birmingham.
exactly.
Exactly, it goes both ways. You would rather say that we won in Wembley rather than you won at Villa Park. And
Exactly.
so this, as everyone can see, is the team of the week as chosen by us. We've got a load of banter coming up with these two, making more appearances. I'm assuming on more episodes. And since we've got at least 3 more weeks until the Champions League final, we can obviously see the rivalry growing between these two as they face for the first time in a Champions League final that is to be played in a month. Um, I'll let you guys stay happy while you can. That would be how we wrap things up for this time. It's been a great episode, a shorter one if you would have noticed, since there have been a few suggestions. If you watch this on YouTube, consider liking, subscribing. If you see this on Instagram, consider liking. And from the three of us, goodbye.